Welcome to the Stanford Lee Show, the place for song, story, musicology, and more. This week, Lock, Stock, and Empty Barrels. Let's get started. So it is quite unfortunate what happens to the protagonist in this story, even though the protagonist is a highwayman, basically a bandit. But he's so double-crossed by Ginny that we almost feel sorry for the character. And in fact, maybe want to have a drink of whiskey with him. That's kind of the whole vibe about the song. And many traditional songs out of Ireland in the 1800s could have been based on actual characters or on the penny dreadfuls, you know, some of the news and crime noir type pamphlets that went around. And I was wondering the same thing about this story, if there was actually some origins going back to Ginny in the song, which is sometimes Molly or Gilly or, you know, different names. But there was a historical parallel that I found. I've been able to see this actually reenacted in movies, and there's a play in Australia based after this character too. It's an actual historical character called the Countess of Landsfeld. And this was a person that started from humble beginnings, which is, she's kind of our Ginny character. She started from humble beginnings as a dancer. I guess at the time, it's what you would call exotic dancing. And a funny thing about this is she was an Irish lass, but she went by a Spanish name, Lola Montez, which I guess is, I don't know, sexier for some reason. I'm not sure why. She actually has been depicted as helping highwaymen, like I say, in a story that was created as a Western. How do we get from Whiskey in the Jarro to this story about Lola Montez? Well, Ginny was a double-crosser and a very crafty woman that was capable of these kind of adventures. One of the most interesting exploits was, she was courted by very influential people of the time. You might have heard of Alexandre Dumas, the writer of The Three Musketeers. And she was also acquainted with the King of Bavaria. In fact, at the time, she literally started a riot. I mean, the country about collapsed because of her influence and scandal. And the poor Ginny in this story, she just ends up, I don't know why, taking the charges out of the guns and the ammunition and leaving our protagonist with nothing to protect himself against. Captain Farrell and his footmen. So it's very unfortunate. Like I say, he's a bad guy. He's a highwayman, but we feel bad for him because he's just been turned on so poorly by this woman. And more about the Lola Montez influence. It was a movie called Black Bart that depicted her as the actual character from this European dancer, Lola Montez, being assaulted by some highwayman that's kind of like our protagonist in this story. And she ends up falling in love with him and trying to help him even though he's a thief. And she inadvertently, he ends up dying at the end. I've only seen the first part of it, but I do remember the movie vaguely. And it was kind of interesting. And also a play in Australia depicts Lola Montez with a highwayman. So there's a lot of parallels between this and Whiskey in the Jarro. That was probably just some interesting information you didn't expect as far as the story. And what a lot of people ask about the song is the origin of the Mushering-a-Doo, a-doo-dum-da, the kind of rhymey sing-song stuff in the song. And some people, I've heard a lot of accounts, some people think it's kind of a Gaelic phrase blended together. I've had some people say it's just, it is just to be a rhymey sing-song thing, as though, hey, let's just go get drunk and la-di-da, forget about what happened today. I mean, how could you forget about what happened? I mean, I'm sure a crafty highwayman could find a way to get out of this snag, even though it seems like the darkest hour for our hero in this story, or anti-hero. And about my influences, I mean, I didn't write this, but I did add a little verse at the end, just for fun. It's got some Scotch-Irish roots, obviously. The Dubliners did one of the well-known versions of it, and also the Pogues. And for the rock side of things, you've got Thin Lizzy, a great band out of Ireland, and Metallica did a really great cover of it as well. So that's my conclusion of it. I think that some of us will encounter Lolas and Ginnies along the way, and I think we're better men for it in some ways, and you know, if we can survive it. And you know, I wish you luck with the Ginnies and Lolas that you may encounter in your life, and yeah, try not to take it so hard. Just Mushering-a-Doom, a-doom-dum-da, just have a shot of whiskey and your problems will probably go away. So good luck with that, and I would like to perform for you Whiskey in the Jarro. As I was going over the far-famed Kerry Mountains, I met with Captain Farrell and his money he was counting. I first produced my pistol, then produced my rapier, saying, "Stand and deliver, for ye are a bold deceiver." Mushering-a-Doom, a-doom-dum-da. Oh, whack for me, daddy-o, whack for me, daddy-o, there's whiskey in the jarro. I counted out his money, and I made a pretty penny. I put it in my pocket, and I took it home to Ginny. She sighed and she swore that she never would deceive me, but the devil makes a woman, and it never can be easy. Mushering-a-Doom, a-doom-dum-da. Oh, whack for me, daddy-o, whack for me, daddy-o, there's whiskey in the jarro. I went up to me chambers, off to take a slumber. I dreamt of golden jewels, and it is no wonder. Ginny blew my charges, she filled them up with water. Then she sent for Captain Farrell to be ready for the slaughter. Mushering-a-Doom, a-doom-dum-da. Oh, whack for me, daddy-o, whack for me, daddy-o, there's whiskey in the jarro. I'd be looking for a fortune, rockin' and a-ramblin', play electric guitar, and I'd have all them fans standin', melt their hearts with sing-song, yo-dee-dum a-fiddling. It'd be quite a racket if the whiskey's never-ending. Mushering-a-Doom, a-doom-dum-da. Oh, whack for me, daddy-o, whack for me, daddy-o, there's whiskey in the jarro. Whack for me, daddy-o, whack for me, daddy-o, there's whiskey in the jar, there's whiskey in the jar. And thanks again, and I'll see you next time on the Stanford Lee Show.